Let's get right to these headlines, because Lord knows there are plenty of them. O'Neal Bell and Thomas Adamek. O'Neal Bell, obviously a former undisputed cruiserweight champion, and Adamek is a former light heavyweight champion. They're going to be fighting each other on April 19th in Poland, which will definitely go towards Adamek.
Adamek, after he lost Chad Dawson, immediately moved up to cruiserweight, and then after going to cruiserweight, he hasn't lost a fight since then and looked pretty good at cruiserweight.
Yes, he has.
And
Adamek's slick boxing skills were a perfect foil for Paul Briggs, who hits with a ton of bricks. And that's why they demanded that they fight twice in Chicago. I got the chance to see both of them. So Adamek is definitely no stranger to the Chicagoland area with such a huge Polish, contingency in the Chicagoland area. O'Neal Bell involved in 2 or 3 of the best fights of the last 3 years.
Yeah, with Mormek there.
Jean-Marc Mormek. I mean, just crazy that these two are actually going to be fighting each other. Adamek obviously moving up to cruiser. ESPN actually had a pretty cool article today saying that cruisers are not just fat, light heavies.
No, actually, they're thin down heavyweights usually.
They're usually guys that would be heavyweights 30 years ago.
Yeah. You see a few guys, Carl Davis, who we've seen over on ESPN a couple weeks ago. He's fighting at cruiserweight right now, and he's pretty good cruiserweight.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll see him at heavyweight in the future. He's just at that weight just to start off his career, basically.
Hey, it happened to the best of them. Moving on down, when you talk about Balco and you're talking about the steroid problems, the only boxer that has really come out as far as the Balco scandal has been Sugar Shane Mosley, who's actually one of the most popular fighters in the world.
Well, Holyfield was mentioned in that whole situation as well.
I stand corrected. Yeah, Mr. Evan Fields. But that got so much press that sort of died out.
He got early press, and now Mosley's getting press now.
Mosley's still sort of hanging in the wings of, well, what's going to happen? They're still talking about it. I haven't heard anything about Evan Fields since.
No, I haven't either.
This is still hanging in there. That was nice. There's ash all over my notes here.
You do that every week, dude.
I don't know why I think that, this week I burned something. I burn something every week. But, it turns out that Sugar Shane Mosley's in the middle of getting sued right now, a defamation lawsuit, because of his former strength trainer. Says that Mosley actually defamed him by saying that he's the one that gave Mosley the clear and the cream, the steroids, the banned substances. So the gentleman's last name is Hudson, and he did not give his first name, I don't believe. And he says, and I quote, he never gave, pushed, recommended, or in any way made the defendant, meaning Mosley, take the banned substances. And Tuesday in a L.A. Superior Court, that went to trial. So we will see what we see.
We got to wait for the information to come out on this one.
It's still way too early to be making any judgments on it. We don't know. Bottom line, he's taking the same stance that all these athletes are taking. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I smeared it on. I took the pill. I got injected in the rear, but I didn't know what I was taking.
Yeah, I thought I was taking a B12 shot. Most of them are saying.
Okay.
I don't know if that's Mosley's offense, but that's what most of the athletes, the baseball players, are saying.
Well, when you and your brother got in your car accident, your real big one, the real big car accident, that was years ago. You were like what?
16. That was right before I got my driver's license.
Yeah. Your brother Harry had a gash in his forehead, and he had the vitamin E pellets that he had to smear and put in there.
Yeah, vitamin E is good for any scars.
Absolutely. I remember exactly where I was sitting. I was sitting on your couch, and he was sitting in the chair, and he busted open one of the caplets, and he was smeared it in there. And I asked him what he was doing, and he said, do you remember what he told me they were?
No.
He said they were whale sperm samples.
You believed him.
And I believed him. I only bring that up because when you're told something, this is what this is. Here, use this. You have a natural tendency to believe them. The problem is I was 16 years old at the time. I was stupid. Mosley is not.
Not much has changed.
Mosley's a grown man. No, I'm just fatter and hairier. That's all. Oh, Tommy Morrison. He's going to be fighting on the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. undercard. That's
down in Mexico.
Down in Mexico, yeah. Well, he can't fight in the United States. Not in boxing, at least.
Not yet.
Not in boxing, at least. There's a problem, though. Bob Arum did not want him on this card. Bob Arum does not believe that Tommy Morrison belongs in any sort of ring, whether it be MMA, boxing, or sewing. He does not want him doing any sort of fighting in any way, shape, or form. Bob Arum was on a cruise all last week. While he was on that cruise, his matchmaker, his head matchmaker, Bruce Trampler, and the Mexican promoter that Arum shares Chavez Jr.'s contract with, named Fernando Beltran, Trampler and Beltran actually set up this fight and said, "Well, yeah, we're gonna sign Tommy Morrison to fight on the undercard." Well, yeah. Bob Arum he was in international waters at the time. He wasn't even contacted. They didn't even mention it to him.
He's kind of surprised that he didn't pull that fight. I mean, he has quite a bit of power.
He's not pulling the fight because he wants Top Rank's word to be worth something. Two big-time names at Top Rank said, yes, this fight will happen. They're completely in the wrong, but he says, you know what? If my label says it's going to happen, then I need to stand by it.
And that's what he's going to have to do here. I'm surprised that I still think that if he really wanted to, he would pull it. But as you say, he wants to make sure to hold up his name a little bit here.
He wants to make sure that if Top Rank officials say that Superman's fighting Mighty Mouse, then damn it, that's the fight you're going to end up seeing, if that's what they say. And they said that's going to happen. And there's an awesome quote here. He says, I'm not going to take the rap for this if anything goes wrong. And he says, and I quote, anyone who wasn't going to buy the pay-per-view and now you decide that you're going to, just to see Tommy Morrison, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, he won't play him on TV. He wouldn't play him on TV.
No, he is playing him on TV. He says if you weren't going to buy it because of the real fight, Chavez against Zelaya, if you weren't going to buy it then, but now you are going to buy it because of Tommy Morrison, he says you're crazy. He'll take your money, but he says you're crazy.
So boxing's trying something new then, huh? Your word is actually good for
I know. What's up with that?
That's pretty interesting.
Way to go, Bob Arum.
Do you think he's just trying to play this out a little bit so he isn't held responsible for this if something does happen?
Well, let's get him on the air next week and we'll ask him.
I was going to say there's a couple things. One, he's not responsible, and two, it's drawing media attention, which is going to sell more pay-per-views.
It could. If one more person goes and pays that money, $40, $50, however much it'll cost, I can't see paying $50 for a Chavez Jr. fight.
No, it's actually it's like around $30. It's not very expensive.
Yeah. But if one person that wasn't going to order it is now going to because they want to see Tommy Morrison fight a guy who I don't have.
He's going to knock out in the second round.
He's 3-0. This guy with 2 draws. He's going to knock this dude out.
It's a little bit better than the guy he fought the first time. I don't remember his name, but they were. Basically had photos of him on the Versus Network.
That guy's name was Castle.
Yeah.
I don't remember his first name, but yeah. No,
he said the doctors told him that it was like a 99.9% chance that he would not get AIDS when he fought him. The only way is if HIV. Yeah, HIV is if basically Tommy had a cut and it went directly in one of his cuts, basically. He said
you'd have to rub cuts for hours for that to actually happen, is what I'm told, but anyway, whatever. The Battle of the Network Stars, that's something that we were grown up watching. Todd Bridges and Gary Coleman actually learning the trampoline act and the trapeze and all that garbage. Well, now we're going to have the battle of the guys who Roy Jones Jr. in his prime whipped the hell out of. Julio Gonzalez is going to be fighting Reggie Johnson on February 23rd. That's going to be, 2 weeks from now, at the Lake Charles Civic Center in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Tickets start at $15. These are guys that 10 years ago were just essentially leftover body parts in the light heavyweight division after Roy Jones had a go at them.
But they were top guys at that weight class. Yeah. If they obviously took on Roy Jones.
Johnson had one of the belts.
Yeah.
And a little trivia question for you, Mo. Why is Julio Gonzalez so important?
I don't know.
Not just because he lost to Roy Jones, but he is also the first man to beat Jarius Mikuszewski, who Roy would not go to Germany to go fight.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why. I mean,
all of a sudden he'll go over to fight Kessler, but
he'll fight
Kelzagi. I think he would fight Kessler too. Whoever he can get some money from.
Sure. But Kessler's not the name though. He'd want to fight Kelzagi. Also on this Chavez Jr. Zelaya pay-per-view will be the first time in Mexico that the instant replay will be allowed. So we're going to see some instant replay on that pay-per-view.
And see how it works out. I mean, we talked about this before. If there's a way for him to correct some stuff, might as well try it. Hopefully it doesn't hold up the hold up the sport at all, you know, and slow down the action in between. I'm thinking they're going to do this in between rounds because they're going to have to do it pretty quickly.
It's going to be quick. You cannot mess with that 1 minute. That's gold. You go screwing with that, and you're screwing with the way guys train. Don't play with that. If you're going to do it, you have 1 minute to do it. It's not like football where you can sit there for 2 hours and say.
In football, they're supposedly only supposed to have 2 minutes, but they go underneath that booth. And then they come back out and they go back in, and I mean, you can have 15 minutes of sitting there watching BS, you know.
Yeah, but they usually keep it pretty close. They don't go 15 minutes. You're kind of over dramatizing it a little bit. But
they go quite a bit.
Don't use words he can't spell.
Well, we can't talk then.
The cat. Anyway.
I don't know why I misspelled "the" on one of our videos. Remember that? I had to correct that. The E got deleted somehow. I didn't misspell it. It got deleted somehow.
Night of Champs. All right. They're talking about Andy Lee possibly in a couple
last week.
Well, yeah, but now they're talking about. Well, Emmanuel Stewart says, "I want him to fight Winky Wright." They're like, "Really? Talk about your plan for him to fight Winky Wright." Well, not now. They're like, "Okay, Emmanuel, explain." Well, I want him to fight, you know, in a couple months, and then I want him to fight again at the end of the year, so that at the beginning of next year he would have a warm-up fight, and then the middle of next year he could then be in a position to possibly, with the right weather.
Yeah, well, I don't understand it. 4 fights from now?
4 fights from now.
I'm calling you out 4 fights from now.
What could happen in that time? Winky Wright might be inducted in the Hall of Fame between now and that. I mean,
you need to call someone out now. If you're gonna, if you want to call Winky Wright at 4 fights from now, at least wait 3 fights from now or 2 fights from now and say, I'm gonna do a warm-up fight and then fight Winky Wright. You know,
that's like calling a pizza place and say, I'll take a pizza 3 months from now, please.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
but make sure it's hot.
Yeah, make sure
don't piss me off.
Yeah.
Don't.
I mean, what is that?
I mean, he is already slated to fight Brian Vera from the Contender. That'll be on March 21st. That'll be a ESPN2 Friday Night Fights card. Then he's going to be fighting in Ireland against the former champion Howard Eastman. That's the old-looking guy that's not old.
Oh, yeah. Those are 2 pretty tough fights, though.
Those are both. Eastman's on the way down. Brian Vera never really was up.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good order to be doing these. But to say that you've got Winky Wright waiting for him at the end, yeesh.
Well, you could say that I would like to work up to a Winky Wright fight. I wouldn't say, well, someone must have asked.
I'm calling out Winky Wright.
Yeah.
Just not now. Okay. All right. Can't wait.
Andy Lee's a slick boxer. I'd like to see him get up there, though, and start fighting the top guys.
I'd like to see anyone really beat Winky. I've never seen anyone actually beat him.
Yeah.
I've seen him lose decisions. I've seen him get draws when he didn't deserve them. But I've never seen anyone really smack around Winky Wright.
Well, he's actually lost. I've seen him lose because when he fought Hopkins, I believe he lost that fight. But never got.
But to really get,
no, he doesn't get hit because of his defense. He doesn't get hit very much.
No. And the last little bit of info here is, well, Sugar Shane Mosley. We started the show with him, and now I'm going to end the first segment with him. All I heard for 3 weeks was that he was interested in fighting Ricardo El Matador Mayorga. And I was starting to think that Mayorga was sort of the cool guy's bitch. Like he fought, and I don't mean that derogatory towards women.
He should want to fight Vernon Forrest. That's who he should want to fight.
Mosley needs to beat Vernon Forrest decisively. The reason
and Vernon Forrest should want to fight Mayorga.
Yeah, it's like Kevin Bacon. It all goes back to Mayorga. Mayorga holds the key to all of this stuff. But I mean, Trinidad comes back. He wants to fight Mayorga, and he does, and he beats him. Then Trinidad comes back. Trinidad, and then Oscar wants to fight Mayorga. Then
Mayorga looked good against Vargas, and he's going to get a big payday here now.
Well, I'm saying Trinidad, De La Hoya, and then Vargas just recently. Now Mosley for 3 weeks. Everything on the net was saying Mosley wants to fight Mayorga, and I'm thinking, well, it depends on which Mayorga shows up.
Yeah,
Mosley might have his hands full with the Mayorga that just fought Vargas.
I don't know.
Well, now he doesn't want to fight Mayorga at all. Now Mosley says, I want to fight Zab Judah. Where the hell did that come from? No one was talking about Zab Judah getting back into this.
Well, he must have sat next to Zab Judah at the fights a couple weeks ago and talked to him about this at the Jones Trinidad fight, because we've seen Zab Judah there sitting ringside, and I'm guessing Mosley was there as well.
Sure.
And they probably got on some talk somewhere backstage and found out that it'd be a good fight between the two.
Well, the winner of this goes against who?
I don't know.
Who's someone else that?
I don't know if it's
who's someone else that Miguel Cotto beat the stuff out of.
I don't think it's a good choice for Zab Judah. Zab Judah needs to get a couple wins on his record here because he's lost.
Zab Judah doesn't have much to lose right now. I say go for it. I mean, you get a win over Mosley, you're right back in it.
I mean, he has basically 3 losses in a row. He threw that Ruben Galvin fight in there, but that was actually ended up being a no contest.
Yeah, that didn't even count as a win. Even though that was a dominant performance, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. All right, that's the end of our headlines for tonight. Let's take a break. We'll come right back and we'll get you through all the fights that got us through the week, and maybe even a little bit before that, if you're lucky. This is your Bolo Punch Boxing Hour, brought to you by George Rogie Insurance. www.hsfp.ccsportsjuice.com.